From that time on, Jesus began to explain to his disciples that he must go to Jerusalem and suffer many things at the hands of the elders, chief priests, and teachers of the law, and that he must be killed on the third day and be raised to life. Now here's a bunch of other texts. I won't go into them all, but there's many texts of eyewitnesses saying this is what he claimed. Then, the flogging, the reporting of the flogging. Jesus was severely flogged. I don't know if anybody sees the Passion of the Christ. It's a pretty accurate depiction. It was so terrible, with bone and metal at the end of the whip. They would whip them. It would tear the flesh. Probably their spine in times would be exposed. Well, many people would actually die from the flogging. Horrible thing that happened to him. And then he was, okay. There's a picture from this is from the Journal of the American Medical Association, 1986, investigating and evaluating the crucifixion and flogging and death of Jesus. And the crucifixion, they would put nails through the feet, the metatarsal, and then they would put nails through the wrist, not through the hand as you might see, but through the wrist, because that would be able to support the weight of the body. It was extremely painful, and they wouldn't die from the wounds, they would die from suffocation, because every breath they would have to push up, the pressure on the lungs, they would have to push up in order to exhale. And every time they pushed up, their feet and hands would be pulling against those nails, and it would be incredibly painful. In fact, our word excruciating, out of the cross, comes from that incredibly painful exercise of crucifixion. And it would take hours, 3 to 6 hours, people would be on the cross. It was incredibly cruel. And if Jesus, and it reports in the Gospels that Jesus died about 3 o'clock in the afternoon from just being overcome by the shock of losing so much blood, being beaten by the guards, being flogged. He couldn't even carry the cross all the way to Golgotha. And then when he was on the cross, he did expire and give up his life, such that the eyewitness John, who was there, reports the soldiers came and they broke the legs of the 2 thieves beside him, but they didn't break his legs because they noticed that he was dead. The reason they would break the legs is because as soon as you break the tibia, the subject couldn't push up to take a breath anymore, and he would suffocate and he would die within minutes. Jesus, they didn't break his legs because these people who did executions daily for a living knew he was dead. And but nevertheless, the soldier pierced his side, and the eyewitnesses saw blood and water coming out. Now, what does that mean? That blood and water came out. Well, the Journal of the American Medical Association describes how the spear would have gone right through the pericardial sac around the heart, which has a clear liquid in it. It would have looked like water, and right into the heart where the blood would have been, and the blood would have come out. So both blood and water came out. It's clearly the soldier knew what he was doing. If Jesus hadn't been dead, he would be dead at that point. There's no way he could have survived this. So Jesus is buried, he's in the tomb, and after he's in the tomb 3 days, there are observations of him alive. And he's walking about here in Luke 24, 36 to 43. They were startled, they're frightened, they're thinking they're seeing a ghost. By the way, the disciples did not expect him. Even though he told them, they didn't expect anybody would rise from the dead. They're hiding out, they're afraid of the authorities. And so they're saying, this can't be, this must be a ghost. They're not gullible people. They're fishermen, they're tax collectors, they're the kind of people that, wait a minute, I'm not going to go fall for this. And yet he says, why are you troubled? Why do you doubts in your mind? Look at my hands, look at my feet, it's myself. In case you really think it's not me, come touch the wounds that you see that I have. So they validated that. Other texts, look at my hands, look at my feet. In Luke 24, 38 to 42 says ghosts don't have bodies. And when he said this, he showed them his hands and feet. And while they still did not believe him, because of their amazement, he asked them, do you have any fish? Do you have anything to eat? So they gave him a piece of fish, and he ate the fish with them. Now, this is very, very powerful, because one of the dean of the law school was an expert in the occult. He had thousands of books on the occult, and he had researched the history of the occult activity, and he could firmly say there are no accounts of ghosts ever eating fish in the history of the occult. And why don't they eat fish? He said, I guess maybe they don't have stomachs or something, but they don't eat fish. So this is good evidence of being alive. He's observed after he's buried. The other disciples, Thomas. I love Thomas because Thomas is sort of like a scientist. No, I want to see it myself. You know, he's from like New Jersey, Show Me State, right?
I did it once, but I don't want to mess anything up.
So Jesus provides for him. He didn't see it, even though his friends who he knew were truthful were telling him. He didn't want to. No, I can't possibly. This is too much, too fantastic. So Jesus provides for him. He appears in the room and he says, "Reach out, put your hand in my side, feel the wound in my side, and feel the wound in my hands." So he did, and as soon as he does that, he falls to his knees and says, "My Lord and my God." He becomes a believer. Now that would make me a believer too, probably. So observed after he rose. There's another one. He's on the Sea of Galilee. They're out fishing. I won't go into the whole story, but they decide to go fishing. They're kind of despondent, even though they've seen him and there's been reports. They're still wondering. Well, Jesus is cooking some fish. He comes up. He says, "Look, Simon, Peter, Thomas, Nathaniel, Zebedee's two sons, James and John, and the